Hello, freedom fighters, and welcome to another podcast of Essential Talks, where you come for the conversation and you leave empowered. Today we have Kelly Anne Wolfe. She really doesn't need an introduction. She's involved in so many things. I'm not even going to try and list them off. I will let her tell you all the things she's involved in. If you go to her Facebook profile, you can read them all. It's just incredible. She's been doing a lot of steady, hard work, really trying to get things going on, really clamping down and taking this serious. Also, my co-host Kimberly is with us tonight as well. And so I'm just going to pass it over to Kelly, and she's going to tell us everything that she's involved in and what her major projects are right now.
Oh my goodness. Well, first and foremost, because I always have to pay tribute and respect, I am the executive director for Hugs Over Masks. We are all essential. Facts over fear. I am free Canadian. Mothers Against Distancing. I'm also the vice president of Freedom Forum Canada. I am the CEO of the Canadian Democratic Defence Association. I am also the CEO of My Canadian Freedom. I am the liaison for 447 different grassroots organizations and groups across Canada. I am one of the main organizers out of Toronto, and I worked in full partnership all the time with, of course, Vlad Sobolev and Chris Sky. I am the previous executive director for The Line. I'm a clinical psychologist. I have a master's in political science, social engineering, and I just love our people. I love all people. And I'm also an internationally recognized ambassador for Anishinaabe, Sultry, and Métis Indigenous Nation, and I'm a fellow for the World Organization of Natural Medicine. I think I covered it all. If I missed anything, I apologize. So,
You're also
quite a bit of stuff.
I was just gonna say you're also the number one person in the country with the most amount of arrests.
Yeah, yeah, but that was not something I planned.
No,
So,
no.
none of us start out trying to be a criminal. That's for sure, right? So, and by no means am I one. Actually, my lawyer's working on having everything just dismissed. They all they do is keep dragging it on, because the truth is it's ridiculous. So my first arrest was January 16th at Dundas Square, and that's the one that went a bit viral. I think they even saw it I had friends in East India, that saw it, so it even made their news. But it was a very significant moment, in the last 2 years, because we've never had a single act of violence at any single event, rally, or demonstration that we've ever done. And to show up at Dundas Square and watch as Toronto police were the perpetrators to innocent people. It was a very shocking and very, very shocking experience. So, and I've been like that my whole life. Like, even with my big brothers, if they were getting in trouble and they were about to get, the Indian mother whip, I'd throw pot and I'd get it worse, right? So so they never got it, and I did all the time. So I'm kind of tempered in it, right? But if we don't fight for the underdog, who will? Nobody will. So yeah, I've been put into handcuffs 58 times. Sorry, 49 times now. I have 58 summons and tickets, 4 criminal charges for common nuisance, 16 breaches. And it was my 4th charge because I was brutalized. I was brutalized 5 times in total over the last 2 years. And I'm very proud to say that every single one of those officers that committed that assault to me, I've taken their badge. They're none of them are officers anymore. And I would encourage anybody out there, if an officer, inflicts any sort of assault on you, you take their badge. You do not stand down, because this is the kind of problems that brought us to where we are in our society right now. We cannot allow anyone to turn a blind eye when someone in a position of public authority, abuses it.
Exactly.
So, and I think that's the biggest shared problem across the entire country, is the fact that we have, first of all, this government is fictitious. It's a business. It is a corporation owned by a shell company, registered to an account in Washington, D.C., owned by an American shell company. So
Yes.
Canada actually belongs to America. So
Exactly.
and so it's crazy the stuff you find out, and because the federal government of Canada is the corporation of the federal government of Canada, the things you're seeing happening right now in Wet'suwet'en territory, where the courts overrode the treaty rights, you know what I mean, of the hereditary chiefs, which is supposed to be the highest, most cherished laws in this fictitious joke of a government, but they were able to override it. And I actually want to touch on this today because it's extremely important for all the work that we're involved in right now that Canadians really comprehend something. So your birth certificate and or your Indian status card was a manipulative way to enslave you and to take away your property and to infringe upon your rights. So when a baby is born in the hospital, there's you automatically you get a live birth statement. That is all you require. Okay, you don't that is proof that you are alive. And the truth is this, right? So the immediate comprehend simple definitions: application, registration, and submission. So if you're applying for something, what is it that you're doing? What is it that you're doing? You're begging for something. So you're begging for something. You're begging for something, and nothing in life comes for free. So there's always going to be something that you have to give, and people don't like to read the fine print in things. And what your birth certificate application is a contract, and that's all a corporation can do is contract with you. So once your mother or your father fills out that information and it's accepted, your application is accepted, and then they register your birth, your mother has given up her rights, her property over you, and you become a ward of the state and a fictitious entity, and a new corporation is born, and that new corporation is called a person. And if you guys look, and I know it's out there, but go now and Google, a legal dictionary and look up the definition of person. A person is a corporation or an entity that cannot take responsibility for itself. Now, if you can't take responsibility for yourself, somebody's got to take responsibility for you. So, and that's exactly what it is. That's why every time you get pulled over by an officer, they'll ask you, do you have any identification on your person? You're not a person. You're a people. You're a living man or a living woman or a living child. Okay? And it's extremely important. Words are everything in a civilized society because it's the words that we use that define the laws, that keep the peace amongst a vast area of people. But what happens when you reach a situation like we now have, where the language is manipulated intentionally? The root problem in our entire society, I believe, in my opinion, is psycholinguistic manipulation. And this is why when you walk into a courtroom, they're speaking perfect English, but you can never comprehend anything they're saying. That's because there are two uses for every single language, and one of which governments use in order to maintain and control their population, and the other is what we speak, common English. And this is displayed in situations like when Prime Minister Fancy Socks, tyrannical Fancy Socks, when he was promoting to Canadians, we got to support our foreign fighters. It's so important to support our fighters. And of course, immediately he's talking about a faction of the Canadian military. You think that. And of course, you want to support them. Men and women that put their lives on the line for the greater good of you, your children, your families, and all. But what if I told you that he's actually talking about ISIS? Because he was. It completely changes how you feel about it. It's the same thing with illegal alien and irregular migrant. And it's the same thing, and
You're cutting out. You're cutting out a little bit, Kelly.
Premeditated outcome. And this happens all the time.
You're cutting out a little bit, Kelly. But I'm gonna jump in and because a lot of what you're talking about is the common law, and a really good spot to learn about the birth certificate is
Option.
So a good spot to learn about the birth certificate
Free.
is warriorcalls.com and watch the fundamental videos. That'll give you a good understanding of the birth certificates that Kelly was talking about. Also, with the government being a fictitious entity, if you go onto a Warrior Calls as well, and under their media platforms, BitChute and Rumble, I believe is November 1st, we aired my pre-trial case. And where I had the JP, I kept pressing the question, who's moving the court? Who's moving the court? Who's moving the court? Wouldn't let her get out of the question, to the point where she actually said, it's the government of Ontario. And I said, the Service Corporation of Ontario? She said, yes. I was like, okay, I have the right to see my accuser. Bring him into the court. We can't. It's a fictional entity. Yet if I said, who's coaching you through your court, this fictitious entity, I'd have a psych assessment. Yet our judges and lawyers are using this, or prosecutors are using this daily, that a fictional entity is pressing our courts forward. So I just figured I'd talk you cut out. Kelly, I'm not sure if you're going to cut out any more here, but.
Absolutely absurd. And it's very hardly.
Well, I think she keeps talking.
In and out for sure.
Yeah, it's cutting out.
Yeah.
You hear us okay?
Yeah, and Kelly is so on the go. She's always everywhere. So we've tried to have her on the show a few times. Schedules have mashed up. We've had a few internet connection problems with Kelly in the past. So hopefully she can hear us and try and move and see if she can get more of a stable connection. And then we can get her back on speaking. So got to run around. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Testing.
Yeah, so this is really good because this is kind of right up my alley. It's getting right into the common law and where we stand as men and women, and what our government has been trying to do to us for a very long time. And Kelly's covering a lot of it. And yeah, so it's really good. This is a conversation that we have to have amongst ourselves. This is a conversation we should have had with our parents, but they did not know this. And parent, again, is one of the legal terms that they wind up maintaining the control. We have mothers and fathers, sons and daughters. And I believe shortly ago, maybe within the past month and a bit, the Premier of Nova Scotia, I think it was, wound up saying that children were owned by the state. And he said that somebody recorded it and blasted him for it. And he's not wrong. Children is the terminology that family courts use for our sons and daughters. Kids, children are ward of the state. So as soon as you go into family court, they ask, who are the children? If you go into the court as a man or woman, your sons and daughters are your property, and they can't take your property away without right. So these are a lot of good things to know and utilize. I think we just lost Kelly. Let's hope she can sign back in.
Yeah, and so many people don't know this, right? Like I think the birth certificate thing was the very first thing I learned in common law from Dennis in a chat, and I was just like, what? Like that instantly made me interested in learning more, and there's still so much to learn, but that is definitely the very first thing I learned, and it's mind-blowing to know. It's just crazy, but it's been perfectly kept from us for a reason, right? It makes sense. Even our parents didn't know, grandparents didn't know. It's been going on hundreds and hundreds of years. So
exactly, and with the birth certificate as well, because Kelly was mentioning that it is a contract. They switch the man or woman into a fictional entity or a corporation. and then they have control of it. And the contract is easy to break because the conditions of the contract were never discussed, and you need 2 signatures in order for a contract to be valid. And it doesn't matter whether it's a contract between 2 fictional entities like corporations or between men and women. You have to have both sides fully knowing what the contract entails and 2 wet signatures in order for the contract to be completed. So what the government has completely and fully done has manipulated us into contracts that we're not even aware of, because as a baby, what do you know about a contract? Nothing. You weren't born into the world with paperwork, and you don't leave the world with paperwork. So how can you commit to a contract, or how does that even apply to you? So your parents didn't know, and under the naive, and it wasn't explained to them, they just believe that it's a process that they have to follow in order for whatever. So they were deceived as well. So any coercion, deceit within a contract without the full details being fully put on the table, it causes for you to be able to break the contract very easily.
Yeah. It's crazy. I'm just seeing if Kelly can sign back on here.
Yeah, go ahead, because I'm really interested in what Kelly's been up to. We have been chatting a little bit on the side whenever both of us have had time. I've had a good phone call conversation. I know she was in Ottawa recently, and I'd like to get an update on that. But she's been doing a lot of hard work and trying to tie a lot of groups together to be able to push forward in this madness that we're trucking through right now. And like many groups, we're all starting to get some really good headway. So just remember that the more they keep clamping down on us, the more we're winning. And that's why they keep clamping down more and more and more in order to try and keep us from rising up. And it's not going to work. We all know that.
Yeah. I think it's all meant to be. We were supposed to have her on 2-3 months ago, right? And I just feel like timing wise, it's even more perfect now, because not only is she involved in more, she's got more to update us on. It's such a great time to talk about businesses and defiance tactics. Yay! Can you hear us okay?
Sorry. So I borrowed my nephew's my nephew's cell phone. They track me, guys, right? So I'm so sorry. And I know we've been trying for months, right? So I'm like, no, I'm like, Kaden, give me your phone. I'm like, they're gonna get so mad at me.
We just know you have so much ridiculous to share.
I filled in some of the gaps. I got people going to Christopher James' site to learn about the gift certificates. I was explaining how in my court I had the Justice of the Peace confess that the Corporation of Ontario is a fictitious entity and they couldn't come to the court. Yet if I said a fictitious entity was coaching me through the court, I'd have a psych assessment. But here prosecutors and judges are able to do it with no psych assessment. But if we say it, we're crazy. So, get into some of the initiatives. I want to hear about Ottawa. I want to hear about some of the stuff you're putting together. And this whole common law thing, I believe this is the key and the answer to flip our world back to where we need to be, living righteously as men and women and accountable.
Well, first and foremost, let me explain something. A statute and a regulation are not laws. They're not laws. What they are is rules, rules of a society that have been agreed upon by majority consensus. And your representatives, that's why they vote in houses, right? But the truth is public. I mean, like, these people, if they really represented you, they should take the bills that come to, that come before the committees and the assemblies, and they should take that back to their communities, and they should put out all the, put out the information and take a consensus. That's when the people have a say. These representatives, first of all, a representative is somebody who represents themselves. Okay, so if you walk into the courtroom, and you say, I'm here to represent myself, immediately you're giving them jurisdiction over you immediately. Okay, when they ask you to, put your hand on a Bible, do you swear to tell the whole truth, everything, nothing but the truth, so help you God? You want to throw them right off? You don't say yes. You say, I swear to tell the truth as I see it. Because the moment you say yes, you are claiming that you know the whole truth. The only thing that can ever know the whole truth is God, is the creator. So you're purging yourself immediately, which means that you don't have the capacity to manage yourself, which means you need to be managed. And that is their justification, right? So like psychosocial engineering, they teach you psychosocial engineering at university. But when you get into counterterrorism and you get into, human behavior on a deeper level, it becomes a whole new enchilada. Okay. And the truth is this, everything is psychologically designed. And these people are extremely brilliant, extremely meticulous, but they're malicious and they're self-serving and they're unempathetic and they're psychopathic, and it's actually a hereditary thing. So, but to get into common law, like common law essentially is just case law, right? But when you apply your natural divinity to it, that's where things get fun. Okay, because like a regulation and a statute are just a rule of society, and in order for any of them to be put into force, we the people have to accept it. We the people, let me be clear, we the people, not we the persons. Okay, we the people, we are people, we are not persons. A person, once again, is an entity or a corporation or a corporate fiction that cannot take responsibility for itself. And what I was talking about with the what's it in is that's proof right there. So you know what I mean? There is, the treaties are all fictitious. You cannot sell something you never owned.
Exactly.
You cannot, like, you can't. So and that's what's so important about like the peoples of the Salmon and Anishinaabe, Sultry, and Métis Indigenous Nation, and these are the original not unsurrendered tribes that came to me after my fourth arrest and my fourth brutal beating. Like my ribs were cracked, I couldn't walk for weeks, and but they came to me because they saw since the beginning that I was speaking about our people, right? And I'm Ojib Cree, I'm not even Métis. So, but I was still honored, because I grew up in Toronto as, white Canadian citizen, but not without knowing my heritage. I'm very close. My aunt still 100% practices all of the traditions, all the typical Cree traditions, and my uncle left for a few years, lived on reserve. Like my cousin Zangade, it's crazy because I've been across the country 19 times and I haven't even stopped in to see him yet. He's an officer on reserve in Saskatchewan. And I haven't even had a chance because we've been so schedule that and I haven't seen him since I was 9. I can't wait to see him. So, and like we spent our whole childhoods together until my aunt and uncle broke up. And then but I just found out that he was an officer on reserve. So that's going to be interesting. But common natural laws, like people, you have to comprehend how powerful you are. Okay. So there's I'm gonna use the bill and the charter as an example. The Bill of Rights is a Bill of Rights that was recognized. Okay, the charter is an act of which needed to reach royal assent, and you can argue there's a debate of whether it did or not. It makes no difference because the truth is this: Queen Victoria, of whom is Her Majesty, died before the Constitution was ever made. Okay, so the Constitution is fraud. It's all fraud. Okay, it's all fraud. And now the significant thing about when we went to the Edmonton Legislative Grounds with Clan Mother Nancy from the Dene tribe and all the other mothers is the fact that Nancy had a copy of the original contract between the original tribes and the Queen. Okay, now, but it's important to comprehend how the system of events worked, because if you can comprehend what happened to them, then you will understand what happened. Like you'll comprehend better what happened, what they're doing to us. Okay, and this is why you're starting to see our First Nations rise across all of the land, because they're scared for your children, for all of your children. And their systems and value systems have never changed, and they're very strong, and they're very nurturing, and they're very loving. It's about love. It's about the creator. It's about respect. And that's my grandfather used to say to me. There's 5 rules you need to learn to be a good Cree: respect, 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 and respect. Like we don't have values. We have an idea of the things that matter to us, but 95% of our population has not defined their values, and that's why you see people even within the freedom movement fighting with each other because they disagree, and then they hate each other because they won't agree. Well,
Yeah.
how do you assert to stand for individual liberty, which is freedom, while you simultaneously oppress another person? And this is the like the hypocrisy. You need to leave it in history, because it's the politicians and their hypocrisy that got us where we are right now. And now we have children as young as 5 years old lining up in an assembly line to be murdered. And it's ridiculous. Like, it's been what, 5 days that they started forcing injections on 5-year-olds, and 6 little kids are already dead.
Yep.
And as far as I'm concerned, we should be standing outside of these fax clinics, and we should be getting multi-level, like duplexes or multiplexes, and turning them into orphanages. Because I'm going to say this right now, and I'll say it to everyone out there: you are you don't deserve that child. If you are going, knowing there's a possibility, forget the fact that 5 kids immediately died after that injection. Okay, and if you didn't know, now you do. So what are you going to do? You're still going to go take your kid? So it's really bad, because this fictitious government knows that it's losing. It knows that it's starting to learn now, because for the longest time they're so arrogant. They really do believe that we are stupid, that we are savages, all of us. And they're proving that now on how they're treating citizens too. And and for the last 150 years, they would teach the our First Nations that that citizens think they're privileged and they hate you. And then they would teach First Nations, well, the colonizers, they hate you. The truth is this: none of us hate each other. None of us. All of us need each other, and all of us need to learn from one another. Because the truth, like, there is a law to the nature of things, and nothing is above the law of the nature of things. Okay? And the law is very simple: that which cannot adapt and evolve will die. So if we were all the same, there's no room for adaptation or evolution, which is our obligation naturally. So, like, we need to stop and start learning to respect our differences. No one person knows all the answers, or we wouldn't be where we are. And whether you it's not, you don't need to like somebody to listen to them. You don't need to agree with them when you're done listening to them, but you absolutely have an obligation to respect them and respect their differences. Because the truth is this: if we saw a man walking down the street right now kissing a picture of Hitler, the 3 of us would look at each other and be like, what? We might go home and tell a family member or 2 about it, but tomorrow morning we're going to wake up, it's not even going to be on our mind, because it doesn't affect us. It's not going to change your life. All these people, I take offense. Stop taking it, because nobody's handing it to you. You're taking it. Well, I take offense. Yeah, you're taking offense, so just stop taking it. But they've done this on purpose. You've got 3 generations of indoctrination starting at a very young age. And to talk. This is slave conditioning. Ask to go pee. May I pee? No. Now what? You're going to stop your body from peeing? Like, it's ridiculous. Okay, we've had the exact, like, a system in a society is supposed to adapt and change as the nature of that society evolves. It needs to evolve with it, or you're gonna have chaos. Okay. And the only reason it doesn't is because of those few people that just want control. And the reason they exist is because that's the balance of put out good, you'll get back good. If you put out bad, you'll get back bad.
You're cutting
Try
out
to
again.
if you look back and you're like, actually, no good. I don't know why I was crying. Because everything happens perfectly, even if it hurts you, right? Like, but let's get back. I told you I was going to start babbling.
That's all
But
right.
these are very
Great
important
points.
things because our society is constructed around us, around what we are.
Nope. Well, it looks like we lost Kelly again. But those are some really positive messages, and is putting quite a few things into perspective. I've been witnessing quite a few people arguing and fighting within the freedom movement as well. And we're allowed to be different. We're allowed to have difference of opinions. We all have the same goal. Everyone keep throwing rocks at the castle, right? That's our main objective. Throw rocks at the castle. I don't care if you throw a little rock. I don't care if you throw a big rock. If we're in a battle, you want to use arrows. I use a sword. You use an axe. Who cares, right? We're all in the same battle. Get your shit together. Pull it together. Get together. Unite. Stand strong.
Well, you know what? But the number one problem is also that Canadians are completely absent-minded as to the structure of our society. So let me paint you guys a clear Picasso of what we're dealing with here. So you have a government that consists of different political parties. Now, each one of these parties have within them their own constitutions. Now, wait a minute. Aren't these representatives supposed to be representing the Constitution of the people? So why do they have their own constitutions? These are important questions because the truth is this: they do not uphold our Constitution. I mean, like just the last 2 years alone, you've seen them rip it to shreds, infringe. Okay, so and because there's more than one political party, and they have their own competing constitutions, that's competition. It causes it provides the platform for competition to happen. And when competition happens, then people who want to benefit or win or bet on that competition are going to be drawn in naturally, especially when there's something to gain. So that's how lobbying happens. Okay? So I tell you what, I will pay for your entire campaign and I will put so much money in that your opponents will never stand a chance. But this is what I want from you. That is lobbying in a nutshell. Okay, it is. And or like Maxime Bernier. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it for what it is. Maxime Bernier. Maxime, you grew up down the street from Trudeau. We have to make sure he gets elected. Go. Cause a disruption. And that's just my own personal opinion. But and that's and you know what? And the people that join the PPC, they're like, people are good. Everybody's good. Everybody has good intentions. Even the people in Parliament that are enforcing masks and stuff, they in their head are indoctrinated themselves to believe they're doing the right thing. Not all of them. And we've got the pay trail now, and I'll say that so everybody out there knows that. You're seeing criminal charges start to happen all over the country. Where do you think that's coming from? So for every single dissenting voice out there that likes to poo-poo on me and Vlad and everybody else in the network, sit down because real work is always being done, and but the structure. So what would an ideal government that serves the people look like? Well, it would consist of a one-bodied, one party. It's just one body. There's only one body of government. And it's populated not by different competitive parties, by independently elected representatives. So the people would elect with a popular vote, no more electoral voting boosting kata, okay? Because all that does is pervert it
and makes your vote irrelevant, completely irrelevant. Like, think, people, two voting systems, what for? So are you going to pick and choose after? You going to flip a coin which one wins? It should be one, okay? And it should be the people, and it should be done properly, and Vlad and I, with the help of a guy we met actually in just north of Vaughan at one of the rallies, we've developed a system, an encrypted system, to ensure that the votes are counted properly. So, and we'll introduce that when we get there, and we will get there. But we want, this is what we need to do. We need a one-body government of independently elected representatives. The only opposition to that body should be the people, and the people should retain the authority to remove one member or the whole enchilada at any time for any reason. Okay, there should be a civilian oversight committee of competent people, and I'm talking like, you don't go and hire, the drama teacher. No offense to drama teachers, but you're not qualified to run a country. Okay, you're not qualified to pick the ethics. Okay, you're not qualified to minister health. We have a graphic designer as the federal health minister. Does that make any sense? We have a drama teacher who was fired for raping his student. And I'm going to say that because I've seen the unredacted, NDA, where he paid the family $6 million to shut it. First and foremost, to the family of that girl. You're disgusting. So you basically sold your child. Okay. And we have to start. Listen, I know a lot of people are going to be really upset about the way I'm speaking. I'm not swearing at you. I'm not being aggressive, but it's time for you to go some Corleones, okay? And have some courage and be direct, because it's the politically correct nonsense that has gotten us here too. Stop pussyfooting around everything. Say it for what it is. You know what I mean? Go up to those vax clinics and don't be like, do you want to see my pamphlet? No, they're going to kill your kid. That's going to get a lot. What? They're going to kill your kid. You want your kid to die? Try that approach. They're going to kill your kid. Everybody wants, I want to act proper. I want to be, what is there to be professional about? They're trying to kill your kid. Do you want them to kill your kid? No, then go home. It's pretty simple. You got to be like that old, like Italian grandmother or Portuguese grandmother. What the heck is, go home. Like, go. And I remember I was like, because I couldn't be down when Vlad did the Vax clinic at the Scotiabank. And I kept calling and nobody was answering because his phone in his pocket. And I was like, I wanted to go on that mic so bad, right? Because I see Vlad, because he's holding all the weight himself too, right? And God love him. Like, I love him so much. He's holding all that weight by himself, and I have to talk about my brother for a second. I'm sorry. I'll get back to the structure and what we need, but like, people out there have no idea what happens behind the scenes. Okay. And I know I can talk about this because he released this publicly himself. So, so I'm going to take that as permission because it's already out there. But in the beginning, when we were still at Queen's Park, okay, you guys don't realize why Vlad is so passionate about kids out there. And I'm talking to the viewers because I know that you guys know what's up. But Vlad went through a situation where, and it sucks that this happens. And to all the good men and good fathers out there, I'm going to tell you right now, these women that don't recognize you for being that good, I wish they would end up with my kid's father. I do, because honestly, like, you women out there that treat good men like crap, that take care of their kids, that want to be with them, to pay their support, that yearn to be with them every day, you need a smack in the back of the head. Okay, you don't have to be with them. You don't want to love them. Don't love them, but respect them. Don't hold those kids from them. And besides, if you do, you're gonna end up losing them. So Vlad is a very involved parent. And Ilya, and his son. My nephew, and I call him my nephew because Vlad might as well be my blood. I love him so much. And he hasn't seen my nephew since March 2020, guys. Only on FaceTime. And do you know why? Because the judge literally said to him, you either step down from protesting, end hugs over masks, or you will not see your son again in person. You can see him 2-3 times a week on FaceTime for 1 hour. They were, so you really want to know who Vlad is? Let me tell you. So imagine that. He's standing up for the kids because he's watching them be oppressed because he comes from a place of oppression. That is the greatest sacrifice a man could ever make. So he's sacrificing his selfish time that he deserves with his own son for the sake of every one of your children. So to anybody who tries to poo-poo him, sit down and shut up. Because, you're disrespectful, and you're disrespectful to your own kids. And that drives me nuts when I hear people, Vlad this, Vlad, oh, he's doing this. No, he's doing this for the love of children. And it is sincere. And the only people that do this kind of stuff anyways are people who are in this for self-service. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, like everybody goes, Kelly wants attention. Really? So give me your phone number. Next time I'm getting my behind handed to me by a bunch of officers, I'll call you and you can get all the attention you want. So, while my kids are worrying about me at home, the last time they arrested me, the last two times, they arrested me, I didn't even get a phone call to a lawyer. They shipped me around from cell to cell and then straight into an isolation cell in Vanier prison for women. It took my lawyer 8 days to locate me. Luckily, before I went out that day, I brought my kids to their aunties. Otherwise, for that 8 days, my children would have been at home alone. Okay? Like my daughter's 15, so she's fine, and there's my dad's downstairs, whatever, but they would not have known nothing, and they didn't for a week. But my sister, she's amazing, so she's like, oh, don't worry, we're gonna go let's go on vacation, beach, right? So, and she just kept them busy, but I was arbitrarily held more than once in isolation, no food, no water, beaten down. Like, you think I do this for attention when you think I'm a sucker for punishment? No. I do this because you're worth it. And even if I can't stand you, you're still worth it. I'm not here for your entertainment. I'm not here for you to like. Neither is Vlad, neither are you guys. We're here and committed because we matter. Everybody matters. And that's the truth. So we need to take and express our authority because we are the law. What gives a law power? People. How, what is a government? A government is nothing but people and words. People and words. Like, you know what I mean? If you get pulled over by a cop, okay? And like one of those rookie ones that were like, maybe bullied in high school, has got something to prove, and that's why he became a cop. The little short guy, and he comes walking up, you can tell he's got something to prove by just the way he gets out of the cruiser, right? And you're like, oh God, here, and it's a bad Sunday, you're late, your grandma wants to kick your butt, and that's all you need is this jackass. But comes up, and wants to give you a hard time. It's very simple. You violated section so and so. Really? Can you pull up that section, officer? Can you state the words in that section? If they can't tell you the law, how can they enforce it? And this was displayed when Pat King put that officer on the stand in court in Alberta. He put him on spot and he said, "Can you please recite your oath?" He couldn't do it. He didn't remember it. This is your contract. If you don't know the terms of your contract, you shouldn't be in one. Right? And that's the case. So your status cards to all First Nations, you need to revoke them because you are much more powerful without them. Canadian citizens, did you hear Justin Trudeau today? Yeah, we're infringing upon your charter rights, and we're going to continue to do so. He just admitted to treason under his own laws. So, if that doesn't show you how fictitious it is, it's time for Canadians to go to every legislative building in this country, take your birth certificate, your SIM card, and chop it in half. Leave it at the door. You want to see how fast they shuffle? 100 people in every province. That's all it would take. You want to see how fast they'll come to the negotiation table? Do it. Cut them up. They're just cards. They're a fictitious entity. Besides, you can always order them again.
Yeah.
Kelly, we know how busy you guys have been.
Yeah.
Lately, you've done the Rebellion Barbecue. You were in Ottawa December 5th to 10th at Confederation Park and Parliament Hill, and then also in Windsor with Freedom Lovers Canada. Can you tell us how all three of those events went?
Sure. Well, in Ottawa, there's a few situations, and some people get carried away, and there's a lot of self-serving people, right? So Ottawa would have been a lot better. Um, but the fact is this is like, and I don't want to, I'm not gonna put him down or anything. People make mistakes. Okay. And I've got a lot of opposition out there. Right. And it's the same group. There's like 30 people and it's all the same group and they're ridiculous. It's honestly, it's entertaining sometimes until they infringe upon an action that is very important, like what happened in Ottawa. So James Botter was he was he was contacted by, I guess, some of these opposing, these ridiculous people, and he was told a bunch of nonsense. Now, I am I'm a very fast paced person, and when I get my wheels like going, I there's no stopping me, right? And I know what I'm doing. So when Canada Unity came to me, they only had 1,000 signatures, and I read through the MOU, and I really believed in it. Okay, the only thing there was only the one little line I didn't like about it was that they were inserting themselves as the committee oversight, uh, um, you know, the civilian oversight committee. But that's neither here nor there. Especially if you're going to unify the entire country under that tent, like that umbrella, it's fine, right? So it's no big deal. But the language is really really good, and even though the MOU is not a legally binding document, it's a statement, right? And so I was with them for what, a week and a half, 2 weeks, and within 4 days we were up to 40,000 signatures. Within a week and a half, we were getting a signature a second. So I'm going to take pride in that because I don't build bridges to burn. And I was very validated by by all of our family in Quebec because I've built very, very strong relationships with all the resistance organizations and the founders out there. And so when there was a little bit of an issue, James made some comments about me, which he has apologized for publicly, and retracted, and he even did it on video. And and he was very sincere, and I felt bad for him because I know what it's like to get caught up in a situation like that, and I know that I can be a very intimidating person, especially as a wife. Like it's very difficult being a woman, amongst all this testosterone, and I'm not one to be like women's lib at all. Okay, I think that women running around with panties on their heads is ridiculous, and all it says is that we should be locked up and we're nuts. Okay, like honestly. So I don't believe in that by any means, but there's absolutely truth to being a woman in a man's world. And if you don't hold your position, you will get tapped on there, dear. Well, you're not going to dear me. Okay, I did that for about a year and a half, and we ended up walking in circles and stagnating. So I chose after Alberta, I chose no more. If they're going to call me shrewd, at least let me give them a reason to. And this way I'll accomplish stuff. So I wasn't taking it, right? And when James came at me with his, with his little, settle down, little lady, no, you're not going to tell me what to do. You know what I mean? First of all, I have way more experience than you in this situation. And he has way more experience than me in other situations, right? We're supposed to meet in the middle with our talents and come up with solutions together that benefit all of us. And I've always been that way. I'll work with anybody, right? But he slandered me, okay? And he did. He slandered me publicly, but he apologized publicly. And that to me shows integrity, sincerity, right? And I will always support Canada Unity. I'm still pushing the MOU, everywhere I go. And I think it's imperative that everybody does sign that. It's very important because not only does it show, that people are watching, like people are unifying all over the country, but it expresses your authority through your voice. Okay, and it's a very important document.
Can you explain, just like many people don't know what it stands for, the Memorandum of Understanding.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit what's on that?
Sure. So inside the Memorandum of Understanding, so what it does is, so every single member of Parliament, Senate, Governor General, okay, when they come into office, they swear an oath, right? And they have specific duties that they are required to uphold by the law. So I'm going to walk you guys over here so I don't lose you because the battery's low. But so they have specific duties. Everybody's got their role to play. Everybody's got specific obligations and duties to fulfill, and under the law, okay? And you're not allowed to violate these things. You have to do your job, and if you're not doing your job, then you can be removed from that job because you're not doing your job. Okay. Well, the Senate's duty is to give me one sec. I gotta plug that in. Hold on. Where's the thing? Okay. So let me just. Sorry, guys. I got it. So the Senate's job is to make the laws, right? So, and if any law comes before them, it is also their job to thoroughly fine tooth and make sure that it is in accordance with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Okay. And the bill, yeah, and I said Bill of Rights, by the way. Yes, the Bill of Rights has never been superseded. It is still 100% in effect. Okay, the charter is an act. It's an act of legislation, like an act of legislation. It's made to act like law. That's what act is. You're acting. It's made to act like a law, but it's not a law. Okay, and and that's why I'll get to that after. So anyway, so the Senate. It's the Senate's responsibility to clearly look at all the legislation that's being put forward, okay, across Canada. And the truth is this: the Emergency Measures Act, of which was invoked in the first place in order to impose upon our economy and shut us down, with the lockdown, they never met the requirements within the act in order to invoke it in the first place. So how did that slip past the Senate? Right. So with the memorandum of understanding. This is the way the public tells the Senate, we know what you did, correct it, or resign, because that is because you have to by law. That's the rules. You have your own rule book. This is your own rules, right?
Accountability.
Sorry, honey.
I said accountability. That's what should have been in place from the beginning.
Truth, right? So, and this is where I sympathize with Rocco, okay? Because Rocco really believes, and when the law in that, even though it's de facto, the whole system is de facto, but when the law does work, it's a good system. It's a very good system when it works. It's not perfect. No system is. You know what I mean? No system ever will be. It will always evolve more. And it's up to us to take the responsibility on to do the work to make it better all the time. Every generation is supposed to supersede the last. Okay. And it's our obligation to provide them with the tools in order to do that. So, and that's all it comes down to. Everything is simple. People complicate stuff for their own personal gain. And it's no different when it comes to legislation. So, and that's why the MOU is so important. Now, here's the thing. If that MOU gets 5.4 million signatures, we can force the entire Senate to resign immediately.
What are we at?
Okay. Yep. So, and it's really important. Now, the Governor General, I'm going to let you guys know the cat out of the bag. So the last Governor General that they said, oh, her manners were bad and that's why she left. No. Our nation served her with a letter, okay, demanding that she proves that she had the jurisdiction to govern over the people in the northern part of Turtle Island, also known as Canada. And she can't do that because she doesn't have the jurisdiction to govern the people. Did you ever consent to her being like your overlord? No. To her being your queen? No. Nobody has. You've never consented to it. Okay. So when you start challenging them in that way, what gives you the authority? You tell them you don't have authority over me. It goes away. Because all a government is words and people. It's words and people. If you don't comprehend the definitions, you're going to find yourself in a trap. You're going to say the wrong thing. The wrong thing can always get you in trouble. You swear at a biker, you're probably going to get a punch in the face. Don't say the wrong thing. Make sure you know what you're talking about or don't talk. Your honor, what's honorable about you? I'm the honor. Stand up for me when I come in the room. You have to, you're equal. We're equal under the law. So
Yeah.
if somebody is going to try to take jurisdiction over you, that's not lawful. And that's why you have a lawful system and a legal system, right? So, but people, you're not taught this stuff. You're taught compliance. You're taught to comply and be obedient. Obedience, obedience, obedience. You know what I mean? And that's wrong. You know, yes, you can always, like, you respecting your elders is good, but respecting your elders and being obedient are two different things, okay? The two different things. Okay, you don't have to obey your elder if your elder is telling you to go stab yourself. You don't have to obey your elder if he tells you to go jump off a bridge. I respect your opinion and walk away. Like, you know,
Exactly.
we're taught to think black and white, night and day, you know, good and bad. There is a whole array of colors in between all those things. If I ask you right now, look outside and tell me what you see, you're going to say, oh, the trees, the sky. Really? Because if I give you another lens, there's a whole new world.
So how many signatures do you have? Have you collected on that?
I'm not sure anymore. I know that when we were still in Ottawa, they were at a signature a day. So, but
Yeah.
I had to start organizing the more important stuff, right? Like, it's one thing to rally, and it's important to rally because the whole purpose of having protests and rallies is to spread awareness. Now, so the only rallies that I will criticize are the people that walk in the same circles every single week, week after week. Freedom. What are you doing? You know, you should be making new pamphlets every week. Like, you guys want to overthrow the narrative of the mainstream media? Everything you wear, everything you carry should say pro. Pro. Because all they got is anti. You want to overthrow the media? I'll tell the whole country right now. Everything should say pro. Your hats, your shirts, your jackets, your shoes, your banners, pro.
Definitely positive messaging in your branding for sure. Anti says you're against and fighting, and you have your fists up, you're aggressive, whereas pro says it's inviting, arms open, we want to welcome all, you know, and it's like I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm a pro-choice.
Yep.
Right.
Well, it's just like, that's what Vlad would say. Let's do a celebration of life. Let's don't call it a protest. And he was right. The French, they have manifestation, so that you can manifest what you want. But if you go in and it's protest, automatically you're bringing aggression. Don't say protest.
Yeah.
Don't say protest. Or if you're going to say peaceful, lawful protest.
Yeah.
And make sure you enforce it, right? Like, you have to enforce. Listen, crime is very easy to define. Do not infringe upon the life, liberty, security, or property of another, and you'll never commit a crime.
Exactly.
Okay? And that's the truth. And like, those are the only laws that you can break to become a criminal.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't steal stuff. Don't hurt nobody. Don't ruin their stuff. And and that's it. It's pretty simple stuff. It's pretty simple. Do what you want, and it harm none. Don't hurt anybody.
So what do you have?
Go ahead.
What do you have in the up and coming? What's around the corner for you?
Okay,
so we're gonna wrap it up.
I'm gonna give you the brief outline, because I don't want to get too much into it, because I do have tracking devices on my car, and they try to cut me off at every end to talk to you.
We just want a wee peek around the corner a little bit. We know a lot of this is undercover, and you got to protect what you're doing. We just want a little glimpse into the future, because we're going to wrap it up in about 10-15 minutes. So we figure we'll cap it off with what to look for. So carry on.
Well, I'll give it to you this. So listen, so the government is, you see people fleeing the country, okay? Because they're getting backed into a corner where they're like into slavery. So it's obey or flee, right? And they feel like if I stay here, they're going to strip me of this. I'm not going to have a house. I'm going to end up homeless. My kids this, my kids that. So and that's how they get them to submit. So what is it? Why isn't there no out? I'll give you the out. It's because they don't have an alternative place to turn to. They don't have jobs that they can go to. They don't have schools they can go to. Now you're getting 60-year-old people with serious heart conditions being kicked out of hospitals because they won't vax. So we're opening hospitals. So we're opening schools. across the whole country right now. We've got 4 open in Ontario already, 4 schools. And next week, we'll have 2 clinics. 2 weeks after that, we'll have 5. 2 weeks after that, we'll have 5 in every province.
Nice.
And we've got another thing. So I can't wait. I can't wait till this ridiculous, disgusting, genocidal government attempts to starve our people, because we got you covered there too. And you know who's got you covered? You know who's got your backs, guys? Our tribes do. Our tribes.
Awesome.
Our tribes are natural, beautiful, Aboriginal, original, tribal people. They love, it's not just about the land, guys. You want to know what's going on, why they don't want that pipeline out in Wet'suwet'en? It's not about just their land. It's about the consequence and the thousands of lives, theirs and others, that are going to be affected badly if it goes there. Most Canadians don't realize that our tribal people provided the government with a very safe route, not only to put the whole pipeline straight across the northern part of our country, but they also gave them room for refineries.
Wow.
So that they can employ, so that all peoples can flourish off the richest, most beautiful land on earth. Canada is the only country on earth that does not require a single thing from another country, but every other country needs something from us to survive. And if you guys want to know more about that, Dan Aykroyd has an amazing docu-series on YouTube, and it's called The World Without Canada. You really want to, you watch this and you will comprehend what kind of serious danger we're in. Okay, all the wolves want us, guys. And if we don't come together, we're going to end up stripped like Africa and India was. This cannot happen. We have an obligation. We have a duty to one another, and we have a duty to all the other people in the rest of the world. And they're counting on us. They make no mistake. The whole world is watching what we do. Okay.
Yep.
And everybody's like, we're going to end up like Australia. No, we're not. And I love you guys down under. And you know that. And I'll come down there and I'll fight beside you. And you know that. But the truth is this: when this crap came out, you guys all complied. Here, we didn't. We were out in the first 2 weeks. And by the 4th week, we were doubled. In the 5th week, we tripled. And we kept going and going because we knew we had the truth. So you got to listen, don't be cowards, be Canadians. Don't be cowards. Be Canadians and be proud. Doesn't matter. And I'll tell you right now, like Anishinaabe people, their medicine wheel has 4 colors on it. Those 4 colors represent, every race, every tribe. Okay, so this indoctrination about, that person is white. I know Cree people. I know white people that are more Cree than Cree people. I know white people that are more Dene than the Dene. Okay, and I know Dene people that are more white than white people. Okay, we have to. These things are imposed upon us by the government for the purpose of dividing us. It's not our nature to be divided. If your neighbor's kid went missing, whether you even like that neighbor or not, you're gonna go and look until you find that kid. And you should be able to expect them to do the same for you. We need to bring back values. And we need to do it in a good way with love.
Exactly.
And it's as simple as that. You can cure everything with love. You really can. But sometimes you got to use love in a bold way.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. I think we're going to wrap it up right on that note. What a perfect spot. Sharing the love, expressing the love, giving the love,
All you need is love.
receiving the love. That's what we all have to do.
Sing it.
So. Definitely. So that's what
I just want to mention one more thing.
Okay.
So we are going to be doing another a big tour around the country, but this time we're not doing rallies. So if anybody out there is interested in having a workshop to learn more in depth what we're doing, so that they can participate and contribute and participate to changing the future, to making the future for our children. We are definitely going to do this, and it's going to be. We've got 5 years. In 2.5 years, you're going to have a whole new world.
Awesome.
And you know that we're all dedicated all of us.
Yep.
And so we're all in, and it's going to happen. So that's all
And
I'm thinking. Well, thank you guys so
I'm-
much for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. I'm going to be getting that information off of you for the workshop.
Yep.
I'm going to pass it amongst some of our coordinators
Yep.
in our area, and
Yep.
I'll try and get you into 2 different spots. So I
Cool.
just need to know the body of it, what kind of time you need, and
Yep.
we'll definitely be talking about that. So
Yep.
anything that you want to plug, any
Yes.
anything, just plug it away.
MyCanadianFreedom.com is the new association website. It will be up by Friday. So, and I think you guys will really like the logo on it. I mean, it's I made it myself. I'm so proud. Sorry. So, and I got phone calls today from some of the clan mothers. They're like, oh, good girl, you did a good job. So, because there's the eagle and the mountain, it's everything. It's beautiful. It could be our new flag. Like, but yeah. So on Friday it will be up. All the organizations that we support and that support us will be on there. Now, the difference between an association and an organization is that an association does not give out directives. Our job is to facilitate access to resources, okay, and to mediate so that your ideologies and your individual liberties and freedoms as organizations, groups that serve the people are supported and respected. So, and they should be. So, and someone's got to lead that example. I have clearly defined those principles. So is everybody on the team. So, yes, we're going to take on the responsibility of facilitating that. And you don't need to like us. We don't need to like you, but we definitely need to fight that enemy. So, and your voices are all valid. So thank you guys once more.
Yeah, thanks for being on here. What's the best way for people to reach you? Is it Instagram or?
Probably Instagram. So I've got 5 Facebooks, and because they shut me down 57 times. So you can reach me at real Kelly Anne Wolfe on Insta, or at official Kelly Wolfe, or you can reach me on Facebook from Kelly Wolfe, the Honest Katori, She Wolf, or Kelly Anne Wolfe. So yeah, any of those will work.
We're going to get all the links and we're going to put them in with the video. This way people will be able to find you and everything you're supporting. Especially go to the Facebook page, because it lists all the organizations that you're involved with heavily.
Yeah.
So, and follow Kelly. So,
and don't forget, businesses. Log on to weareallessential.ca. It is free to register. It is a business empowering network, and get yourself connected. You got to get yourself connected. Right? And you listen, you need that support. So ask Teresa Heron from Huff Gym. So she's rocking and rolling. She's one of the strongest women in the country, and she's still rocking and rolling. So
I'm proud to
sign up. Lockdowns are coming.
I'm proud to have helped her with that. Me and her had many conversations before she opened her doors, man. What a powerhouse.
I've known that woman for 21 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great woman.
Yeah, she is. She's wonderful. Anyways, I don't want to keep you guys. Love you guys so much. And thank you two for all you do. So I'm so proud of both of you. So proud. So,
Thanks for being here.
I try.
Awesome.
Can I?
Thank you. Bye, Kelly.
Bye, Kelly.